Hello, hello, good evening, welcome. Another live stream, 25. Like a lot more than I thought I would get to, but I managed to crack on. Good evening. Oh, look at this. This is almost a first. Both Kyle and Chris dead on 8 o'clock. Well, actually 2 minutes past 8 because I'm always a couple of minutes late. Welcome, Chris. Welcome, Kyle. Welcome anyone else who's watching on Twitch. The main thing that I'm going to try and do tonight is hook up some of a new puzzle, but I actually managed to do quite a bit of work on the game over the last week on some evenings, so I've got some other new bits and pieces that I'll quickly show first, I think, just to catch everyone up to what's happened. One of which that I put out on the community posts earlier on is I've started drawing the intro exterior shot. I think I mentioned this on the last stream that I was going to try and get those kind of establishing shots you get in Seinfeld and Friends and things where you see the building from outside before you actually see inside. So I've started drawing that. We'll have a little look at that. And I battled for so long with something that seemed so simple. It was like I had a total brain fart with Unity's animator controller and could not for the life of me work out how to do something really, really simple. And then whilst I was out today shopping, I was like, oh, why don't I just do it like that instead? So I ended up coming back, doing it in a completely different way just before this stream. I was going to do it on the stream, but I've managed to sort it out, so I'll just show you that anyway. And then the other bit that, again, I'm quite chuffed with, I tackled a puzzle I really didn't want to be tackling, but I went back and sorted it out, and really chuffed with how it came out, actually. So I'll go through a couple of them bits, and then, yeah, I'll try moving on to this plant puzzle, as I've named it. But yeah, I'll show you some of the things that I was cracking on with last week. Now I've mentioned Seinfeld, you've got to have the bass plucking bit. Oh, the dong dong bong bong. I could do it on the bass. It's mirrored. That's yeah, that would be funny, wouldn't it? But yeah, maybe each scene change. I also there's like a little monologue voiceover intro that I've written, and I've messed around with the like what it's actually going to say a couple of times, but I still haven't decided whether I'm going to record it in my own voice, because I want the pacing and the like a particular style, but I actually don't want my voice on, well, maybe not obvious, but a lot of people don't want their own voice on their own games. So I'm contemplating actually doing all of the audio myself, like those narration bits, and then changing my voice with a voice changer. So I don't think I'm going to do that on stream. I don't think I can do that on stream, to be honest. I've got like the big mic that I started with. Like I've got some nice audio equipment here, so I can record it kind of professionally here, so it's good quality, but then I'll probably want to change the voice. But yeah, those are things that I kind of need to do and need to add to this intro. So let me flick over to, I'll start in Air Sprite and I'll just show you. This is not finished, but there we go. So this is like the establishing shot of the Floor For You shop. And there's some other shops on this like little industrial estate. I've put in like the little city skyline at the back, a little kind of house just to give that English feel, I think, just in the background a little bit. And I'm still toying with whereabouts this is going to be set. I was originally just going to set it somewhere in the UK, and I was thinking about accents that are kind of amusing or different or stand out and things. I'm from a little town called Redcar, northeast coast of England, but I'm pretty close, and I live in Middlesbrough now, so northeast. So I've got a bit of a Middlesbrough accent. I was going to set this in a town nearby here called Stockton, But now I'm thinking about it, I might actually set it in or around Newcastle, because that Geordie accent is inherently like humorous as well, I think. So I still haven't decided on these things yet. I've got plenty of mates with different accents in the northeast, so I might get some voice stuff done at some point down the line, but I'm not worrying about voice acting stuff till much later down the line. But anyway, the reason being, I've got DIY, as in YI, a bed shop that are all like, it's early morning, this first shot, they're all still got the shutters down, and this is the establishing shot that we going to kind of zoom into before we come into the carpet shop itself, and Clive is hoovering up the remains of a dead pigeon. I think what we had in the script for the start, again, this will be voiced at some point. Big jam to load. Start writing an intro here, yeah. So I had Stockton originally, which is a town just down the road from here. It's Monday morning at the Stockton branch of Floors for Us. Store manager Clive Bottomley is diligently hoovering up the remains of a dead pigeon he found on the laminate flooring display. Still puzzled by how it got in. Clive hopes a week holds no more surprises. Something like that. So a few seconds of audio, but in this Monday morning Stockton branch of Floors for Us, or Floors for You, I think it's called now, isn't it? I keep changing the bloody name of it. It's actually Floor for You. Floor for You, and I think I mentioned this before because I forgot to put an S on it in one of the scenes I'd drawn, so I was like, oh, let's just call it Floor for You. So there is Floor for You. I've got this foreground tree. I went to the lengths of actually animating the leaves on that tree, so they just blow a little bit in the breeze, and no northeast industrial estate is complete without someone's shoe thrown over a tree or a lamppost. I was going to have like a dog poo bag just hanging from the tree instead, but I think this is just going to be a trainer swaying in the breeze. So I've set that all up as like a separate layer on top of it all, so I can do like a pan in and a kind of parallax move of the tree. And that was the bit that I was mentioning earlier on, that I was like, I could not for the life of me work out how to get a looped sprite sheet animation to actually transform across the screen. I was trying to make it like an animator controller and set the sprite that was on the, I'll just show you, be easier to show you, I think. So this big tree thing is a animated sprite sheet. So the leaves and the shoe are moving. And then I was trying to put this in another game object, and then I was about to create an animator controller for that and an animation clip which moved that object across the screen, and it wasn't working in the way I thought it should be. I couldn't get it to work, or I'd done something wrong anyway. And then I thought, oh, actually, Adventure Creator's got a Move To thing. So I've basically set up this little 2D marker, and I'm moving this sprite sheet to that over 8 seconds, just as a nice transition. At the same time, I'm doing a camera pull, or like camera zoom on the camera, and that is moving in as that tree's turning out. What was that, Chris? Am I crazy, or did you turn the stage around? Turn the stage around? Stage? I'm not sure what you mean. Or was it a typo? Let me know what you meant there, Chris. I'll try and answer you. But that hopefully is going to be the little intro, the scene. Did I turn it round? I don't think so. You can turn it round, unless it did it while I wasn't looking. Oh, between these two. No, this is brand new drawn. I don't think I've, if that's what you meant, if I've flipped it. No, I started drawing this the other evening. I haven't drawn this before, but in Unity, if that's what you meant, if I flip the scene round, there is like in the 3D view there, which is mind-boggling. The actual 2D plane that it's all sat on. It looks quite nice that way around though, doesn't it? You got me thinking now, which is nicer, that side or that side? No, anyway, let's put it back in 2D. Don't have to worry about that. So what I've got then is this moving. I'll show you the scene start action. So I start by having the camera faded out immediately, so it starts on black. I turn off the inventory, I turn off the inventory button, and I noticed I hadn't actually set it up so that I could do that. So if on a future stream I'm wondering why the carrier bag, the inventory carrier bag, isn't showing, it's because I've changed the setting about half an hour ago so I could turn off that button. But I've done that. It's just playing a little pop sound at the moment because that's where the narration audio is going to go. I've just put it in to remind me. And then we fade the camera in slowly over 4 seconds. We wait for 3 seconds so that just before it's fully faded, we start this move. And this is the one that, this was the solution to the problem. So I'm taking the big tree, which is the sprite animation, and I'm sending it to this marker that I've just called Go To, which is just off the screen there. I'm copying the position, the rotation and the scale of that Go To marker, and I've just scaled it up very slightly. And what we're doing is moving into, it's making it look like we're moving towards the tree, but the tree's just getting slightly bigger. That happens over 6 seconds, and at the same time the camera starts zooming over 6 seconds, and then I've just got it waiting a few more seconds because this bit's going to take a few seconds to say, and then we switch to the shop floor into the other bit of the intro scene. So I'll click play and show you all of that. We're saying that it might be on the back side of the store. All right, so this is, yeah, these are the front doors, which you can see out of. I'll just save that. Open the shop floor. So these are these 2 front doors looking out onto the car park. So the cameras, there's like a tree over there, if you remember. That big tree that I drew in the background. If I close, where's the door? Sliding door. And hide Justin. Yeah, so there's this tree there. So we're kind of over the other side of the car park, looking back at the store from there, like the other side of the car park. Got Clive's Vauxhall Cavalier in there, which obviously appears in the Funky Monkeys scene later on when you end up in the boot of it. So just setting a couple of things there because he's arrived early to open up the shop. If I hide the big tree, actually, yeah, you can see the aircon unit on the roof and things, which is part of a puzzle that I've done some other work on, which I'll show you. So we've got that ready. We've set that move up. We've got the action for it. So I'll just show you what it's looking like. Don't blink because it happens over a couple of seconds. So we'll get the fade in, get that pop, fades in. And then just before it's finished, we do a really slow move where it pans in to the front doors. I haven't finished these graphics yet. I'm going to try and put some of the things that you would recognize from the shop. And then it fades in and he's hoovering up this dead pigeon. And then that's just one of the narration things that is a placeholder at the moment. I might actually set the camera just off to the right slightly so you see the front doors. And then that'll kind of help with realizing you were looking at those 2 glass front doors. So actually, let's just do that now. Let's go to the shop floor scene. When the camera first starts, cam 1. Oh, right. Oh, I see, Chris. Yes, you are thinking of the Funky Monkeys scene, which is in a completely different place. Yeah. The other side of town, Funky Monkeys, you're thinking of this one, yeah, which is, yeah, different building, different place, and night time. Same city in the background though, which is probably Newcastle in my mind now. So that's all. I'm quite chuffed with how that's looking. I'm just wondering whether I frame, well, no, actually I can't. Looking at the size of the camera field of view, he'd be right on the, no problem, Chris. it'll be right on the edge of the screen. So it's possible I might be able to move the camera over because it starts, let's just check we're using cam 1. Yeah, we're using cam 1 when the game starts. And what it's going to be doing is it's going to be following Clive, which is why he's dead center screen when it starts. If I start this scene in the intro, yeah, which is, so it's locking onto him there. So I could offset it to begin with. Let's have a look on the cutscenes, intro cutscene. I've got a camera fade in there. So before we fade that in, can you do a camera offset? Probably. Let's have a look. Camera. Actually, what I could do, I'll set up another camera and I'll do a switch. Yeah, let's do that, and then we'll get a nice smooth move of the camera from the door. That'd be nice. It'll kind of lead us in. So, yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. So let's set up another camera. So I'm just going to copy camera 1 and duplicate it. Just call it cam intro. If you're wanting to see which camera you're looking at, what's that main camera? What's that doing there? I'm going to delete that and everything's going to go wrong. Let me just check. Got the main camera script on there. No, I'm not going to delete that. I think actually it copies these bits of info onto that main camera. I think I've said this before actually. Anyway, cam intro, I'm going to click that on so then I can actually preview. I'm going to turn that off. So this will be then the preview camera we're looking at. So if I move this, yeah. So you just got to be careful of that, and whichever one's got the tick on. So if that's got a tick on there, you see it just jumped. So now we're looking at cam 1 in the game view. So if I go to cam intro and start moving it, it doesn't move, so you can't frame it. So yeah, you've got to make sure whichever one is active is the one that the game view renders. So while you're here in the editor, so say I start it like that. This is the intro cam. And then what we're going to do is transition from that cam intro to the other one, and it'll just be a nice smooth thing as he's hoovering. So he'll be at the edge of the shot. So let's do that. Let's set that up. Nope, it's not that. It is this cutscene, intro cutscene. So we're gonna, I'm just wondering if I should switch to the intro camera first. I might need to switch first, so let me just, I think you can move to front. Oh God, here we go. It's going to be a bit of a mess. Eesh, what have I done there? Unhook that. So the first thing we're going to do is switch to the intro cam so it's done. We're going to fade out instantly so we don't see that happen. That starts the animation of the player. That turns on the letterbox. Ooh, yeah, that's the letterboxes. So then what we want to do before we fade in, or as we fade in, boom, boom, boom. Just trying to think which order to do this. So we start fading in on the intro camera, and then we're going to do a switch. So camera switch, and we're going to switch to the regular camera, and we're going to transition over 2 seconds. We're going to make it nice and smooth. Play a dialogue there. So hopefully when we start now, it'll start black over by the door. Camera will transition across if I put that in the right order. Oh, that's because I've turned off the cameras. That main camera needs to be on. That should sort itself out, because it's what Adventure Creator is doing is actually just toggling that switch as to which one's on at the time. So that should sort itself out now, I hope. All right, no, we're starting on the wrong camera. What I don't want to do, so I know this default camera here, this is where it starts. If I change that to cam intro, my problem is that every time you come in through the office, it'll take this as the default camera for the scene. And so I don't want to put the camera, if I do that, if I put cam intro there, it'll probably work. But I don't want that as its default camera, because it's going to mess up every other entry of this scene. Oh no, it's still over there. What have I done wrong? Well, there's no surprise. Work first time. Let's do this the other way around. Put that to the front. So regardless of which camera we start with, we're faded out. And I'm going to switch immediately to cam intro, because this is just during the intro cutscene. I'm going to start the player, I'm going to fade in, and then we're going to transition to the other one. See if it works that way around. We've got everything hooked up. Yeah. And that's all the bit where he looks at the lights. Let's try that again. No, I know what I've done. I don't think either of these should be on to begin with. It's only the main camera that should be on, I think. Made a mess of this, haven't I? I really don't know what's going on now. When it starts, so when the scene starts, the camera fades out automatically. The letterbox comes on. The intro isn't played, so it comes down here and runs the intro cutscene. So the camera's already faded out at this point, so we don't really need that. So we switch to the intro cam. Start animating the player. Fade in the camera. Right. I wonder if it can't do it once. So if I just don't do wait till finish, so it fades in. And then it does its switch. Let's try that. No, something's not right. Let's have a look. Cam intro. Both these cameras have got the same positions. I don't know what's going on now. I know what's happening. there's a setting meaning that the camera is locking to the player. So uncheck that for the cam intro, because what's happening, it's using the cam intro, but it's locking it onto him anyway, exactly like the other camera. So I needed to undo that. So we're not targeting the player anymore. This offset and things is probably going to be a bit of a problem, but let's try that again. We should at least see a different camera view at the start now. There we go. Right, yeah, it's just too fast. Right, yeah, so that's all it was. It was still locked to him. It wasn't showing anything that was happening in that change of camera. So what we want to do is we want it to fade in, looking at the door with him over there for a couple of seconds, and then we want to move it across. So so it's going to fade in. We're going to wait till it's finished. We're then going to transition over in maybe 4 seconds. I'm going to actually put this narration I'm going to have to time up the narration with the audio anyway. It's going to be a different headache altogether. But so it's going to fade in. It's going to stay looking at the door. Once that 3-second fade's finished, the dialogue's going to appear. If that's set to play in background, it won't wait for you to click. It'll move on to this camera move. It'll transition for 4 seconds. That smooth movement will then wait for 1 before he drops the hoover. So there is something in Unity called Timeline, which is like a cinematic editor. Let's just look at this. So yeah, fades in. Yeah, so I want it to finish that camera move before he drops the hoover. So let's just do that little tweak. So we want to wait for that movement, wait the extra 1 second, and then he drops the hoover. Let's make that 2 seconds, just a little bit longer. So it's all well and good using the action editor like this to do it, because then we're not playing with another bit of Unity. So it's fading in, see him hoovering. We get to there, waits 2 seconds, and then puts it down. Yeah. So that looks good to me. So all that's set up, let's save that. Let's go back to the intro exterior shot, give that a play, and just see how that runs in terms of timing. Yeah, so that's a nice little establishing zoom. I'm going to need to fade there. I've just thought it's going to flick black. Yeah, I want to fade and then fade back up from there. So you see it in the front doors and it's leading your eye over to him. Yeah, so we just want to fade out at the end of here. So this scene start. Before we switch scenes, we wait for 3 seconds there. Let's do a camera fade. I'm going to fade out. Just a second, I think. Wait until that fade's finished and then switch scenes. And I'll have to tweak the timing once I've actually spoken the intro. I want to have a dog here just having a piss against the side of the shop. So there's like a little trickle of I actually think that'd be funny. Just a dog peeing up against the shop. It kind of sets the mood and the silliness straight away. Yeah, right. Okay. So that's all good, and he's off into the intro, which sets up the first task. Or his car, yeah, just a dog pissing on the back tire of his car. I just thought it's funny on the shop. It like shows like the kind of the lack of respect, or it's just like a low budget shop. I don't know. I just thought it'd be funny. I said originally I was going to have a dog poo bag just swinging off this thing, and then I thought, no, it'd be funny if there's just a dog having a wee and it's just trickling down into the drain. I don't want to animate the dog walking, but I thought at the very least it would like a sniff, a cock of the leg, or it's already got its leg cocked and it's just dribbling out, because then it would like appear from behind here. That's kind of why I end up drawing this just in the corner. And I drew the shoe purposefully in front of the Floor For You sign, so just to draw the eye to that, so that's the one that you look at. So yes, there is a method in the madness of where that's going to be, but I just think it would be quite funny. Like where your eye looks immediately, until you look over here, your eyes are brought to here, your eyes are brought down, and you've just got long enough to see it trickling out before the fade. And the fade in. Yeah, so that's all like looking quite nice. Pace feels about right. But yeah, I'll record the audio and things. Yeah, especially if there's someone just like with the dog on a lead, just letting it. I mean, I'm gonna stop short of it curling one out just in front of the door, but I think just a stray dog as well. There's something just about a stray dog weeing on a shop, which just sets the tone at the start as well. Anyway, I'll maybe do that one other night, as much as I'm tempted to draw a dog right now. The owner chiming. Just a guy over there by the dumpster, just peeing against the dumpster, and the dog weeing on the corner. Yeah. Right. So the other things that I've got to do, I'll quickly show you one other thing that I set up. I mean, I don't know if any of you are on the adventure game forums, but quite often after there's been a live stream and I've got some kind of weird problem I need to fix, I then go and ask a question on the forums there, because I was trying to work out and move my inventory menu. So if I go and open up Act 2 of the shop floor, I've got a couple of problems I need to sort out, and I don't know how to sort them out. They might have to be coded. So this aircon unit, I did some icons on the end of the last stream. I've finished off those icons now, so we've got like a look icon and a pickup and things like that. So if you look at the aircon unit here, looks like it's got a hole in the side. I need to try and plug it with something. I'm going to reach all the way up there. So this is one of the other puzzles, like one of the things you've got to fix in this rundown shop at the start. So you've got this dripping water, and there's a puzzle chain to build basically a catapult with a lot of pre-chewed chewing gum in it. So I've done this slingshot thing, I've done the animation for it, and these are all things I managed to get done just over the week. So there's a nice little animation of Clive with his slingshot there, and pulling it back and aiming, and he's got his like little eyebrow coming down as he pauses just before it, and then it fires off. So there's just some little bits of animation for that. There's even a little drip of bubble gum that drips down off this thing. And again, a little bit of a complex setup, because I didn't want to make this sprite massive, like the same size of the scene. I could have done, like in retrospect, isn't it what they say? Retrospect is the comb that life gives you once you've gone bald. That, like, looking back at it, I thought I could have just made it massive and made sure that his registration point was right, because similar to the carjack problem, when you swap out the actual walking sprite for a custom animation, it just needs, otherwise it needs to be exactly registered, otherwise you get a little jump. But it's done now. The problem is I had two issues. When you grab the slingshot, I needed the menu to close because the inventory menu was in the way of this aircon unit. And like I stopped short of redrawing this aircon lower, because when the menu's open, it's in the way. So there's like loads of like, oh God, I've done that. I thought about changing the size of the menu so it came to here instead, which would probably be a decent solution, to be honest. But I've had to fudge it at the moment. All these things, when you click on them, if they've got a bit of dialogue. Yeah, if you do a single click, it's like examine. These just haven't got their examine actions. When you click and drag to pull something out of the inventory, it doesn't automatically close the inventory. You can see that, which meant I couldn't use it on the item because it's blocking it. So others might have this problem. I need a better solution than what I've got, and I need to go and check to see whether Chris has answered actually on the Adventure Creator Forum. Because when I drag anything out of here, I just want it to shut the inventory. The problem with that is you then can't drag something to use it on something else, which you need to. So in this situation, and I've used the global event editor. I did a quick tutorial, if you've not seen it, on YouTube about using the global event editor. So I've just fudged it by saying you can't examine that slingshot. So a single click on that slingshot actually just closes the menu. So you can click and drag it out and then use it on the aircon unit. But you can see another problem I've got is the text of the item is rendering in front of the actual graphic. So I need to try and work out how to change the render order of the UI overlay so that it's not obscuring it. But anyway, once you drop that onto there, he walks into position, says, right, the moment of truth, gets out his little slingshot, aims, fires, and it splats and plugs the gap. So there's a bit of animation. I'm about to use my hand on the screen then. I don't know if you can see that. There's a bit of animation which just appears from here to there, so it can get a nice splat of that. So it's a completely separate bit of animation that sits over the scene called Flying Gumwad. So you can see it there. I'm just moving its timeline. So it swaps out the character player where he stood here, and you get that little bit of animation that I did, and then it just continues flying from there. So I can get a straight line to it, splats against there, loads of bits of it all shower down, and then once it gets to the end of that, it's hidden and it leaves an object there that stays in the scene that I can then make sure is there for the rest of the game. So yeah, two fairly complex little bits of animation that hook up into that fairly seamless shot. So you don't really notice that the two bits of animation are not linked. I'll do it again. Pulls out the bit. You swap the character sprite. I just need to put some sound on it and things. You can hear a whoosh, but it's not in the correct position yet. And then it leaves another bit which this puddle needs to be made into a hotspot at that point. So then you need to clear that up as well. So yeah, you'll have to do that. So yeah, I've got these little door icons now to go to the doors, little nice pixel art ones. I've got the magnifying glass to look at things. I've got a little cog to use things. So I think at the end of the last live stream, I was just finishing off drawing them, got the door done. So the other puzzle I want to work on tonight is one to do with this ruined bit of carpet. So in the story, you're getting a visit from head office and you then need to get some things sorted out. No, we've got a different cutscene playing here. Oh yes, it's now of course going to play that cutscene because it's and he's hoovering over there. Brilliant. The joys of global variables. Yes, so I need to stop that from happening. I wonder why that's happened actually. It must be because I'm not. Let's go back. I can't be setting the intro as played at the end of the intro, because it should have changed the global variable. There's a global variable called intro played, which needs to be changed. So let's just go back to the Act 1 version of the shop floor. Remember that about 5 months ago I made 2 versions of this scene because everything was getting too complicated. So this is the Act 1 version with the Hoover and Wendy, and Wendy shouldn't be there. Justin should be there. So turn the sliding doors back on before I forget. Cutscene, intro cutscene, plays all of that, plays all of that. Yeah. So it doesn't look like I've been setting. Oh yeah, there, intro played, set to true. Oh, I just didn't get to it because I skipped it. Which is a good point. It shouldn't be skippable. Otherwise, someone might do what I did just then. So these are the kind of bugs that are going to come up where you let people skip things, then if your global variable isn't changed till the end of that list of things that get done, then when they walk back into the room, the game doesn't think they watched the intro, which is a bit crap, really. I'm not sure if that is the default behavior for these things. Let's just have a look on where we start the scene. You run that cutscene, but there's no way of saying that that can't be skipped. So the actual cutscene here, see, that is skippable. You can uncheck that, so people just can't skip the cutscene, which is fine. Not great. If you're playing the game again, you don't want to watch it. But the other option is, just when we're play testing, we could just put in a thing there to change the global variable. So set global intro played to true. So just for testing, you make sure that if you are skipping it, it's not going to mess up that cutscene. But while I'm testing it anyway, I should just set this to true. So when I walk out the office, I come into the right bit of this. And actually, I've set a few things back just for that intro. What we need to set is, we need to put us into Act 2. So current act, oh, it's a pop-up preset, isn't it? So initial value set that to 2, so we're in Act 2. And that cutscene triggers, we don't need any of them. So we'll be in Act 2 now. Let me start this. So if I walk from here to here, yeah, should be fine. And the Hoover's gone by Act 2, which is why it's disappeared. And the aircon unit, that isn't fixed yet, so it's still dripping. So the puzzle I want to set up, I'll finally get round to it, is the things you're tidying up and the things you're fixing before the visit from head office. This ruined carpet's one of them, and it's kind of like a daft, well, as everything is in this game, a daft puzzle. Like, you can't fix this ruined carpet, you're in a carpet shop, but there's no way to fix it. So you're just going to hide it. And I thought it would be funny if there's these plants, like plant pots, that are kind of big enough to hide that. And there's kind of one in this room somewhere, one in the storeroom maybe, these plastic plants, probably one on the shop floor. And then only in Act 2, when you realise you're going to fix that, it's kind of like, oh, maybe I could cover it up with something. I'm going to put one here, just as a bit of visual interest here, get rid of this weird black thing that I drew and just have another plant there. That when you go and pick up the plant, and it's like, oh, that's perfect, that would cover the hole in the carpet, and he picks up the plant, it goes into his inventory, but when he picks up the plant, there's another hole under the other plant. So every plant you pick up, there's basically another hole that the plant's being used to cover. So it just shows again how run down the shop is. But I'm going to do it in a way that it doesn't matter which plant you pick up first. There'll be 3 plants and they'll all have a hole under them. The first 2 will have a hole under them, and the third one won't. So I'm going to try and set that up so it doesn't matter which order you try that in. The first 2 will always have a hole under them. So that's going to involve some dynamic, like little holes in the carpet that are shown at different times. I'm glad you found that funny, because I just think that's, I don't know where I've got that from. I've maybe got that from a comedy program where someone like makes a hole in the carpet, and he's like, oh God, I'm gonna have to cover it with something, and moves a cabinet, and then there's like another hole under that, and they're like, oh no, I'm gonna have to move something to cover that one. I thought, I'm not gonna have them getting swapped round. I'm just gonna, that's the perfect size, these little blue Floor for You, like branded plastic plants, because then there's a joke about him not ever watering the plants because they're fake plants. And then we can use that to set up. You think they'd let him have a flooring tile? Yeah, I did think about, because it's a mustard carpet, I was going to have something really silly. I was going to have in the fridge, I was going to have some mustard and just squeeze it onto the hole and just kind of cover the hole. But I thought, not in Clive's character, that he's a little bit too, what's the word? Anal retentive. He'd want it done right. So yeah, Tyler managed to tear it when he tried to move the desk to find his lip piercing. I've reported to head office as a trip hazard. I think a carpet shop would get that kind of thing sorted pretty quickly, but then in Act 2, once you know they're coming, we're going to have a list of things for him to do. Oh, and that's another thing I need to look into. It's not something I've ever done before, but there is in variables? No, inventory. There's a thing called objectives. And I set one up a while ago, but didn't actually go through and do it. I used global switch variables instead. Objectives are where you can create a task list of things you need to do that get ticked off. So I'm going to have a look at that. I don't fully understand it because I've not used it before, but there is a menu called the objectives menu. So if I go objectives, just go to game view. See it just about there, I think, on stream, where you get a list of the objectives, and you can style this up however you like. So I'm going to have like a little task list, ideally, kind of like it's written on a little notepad or something like that that just pops in, and it's like fix the front door, fix the aircon, fix the tear in the carpet. I mean, those just 3 things that you need to get done. And those things lead you to find other things that are, I guess, deeper to do with the story, and then eventually reveal effectively a secret room in the carpet shop that Clive didn't know existed. And then that leads into the cult of the anti-hard floor managers who don't agree with laminate and dress up in carpet masks and shawls. Right, so all of this weirdness that happens to Clive on this one day comes about because he starts trying to fix up the shop and then actually finds this secret room hidden in the shop from the previous manager. So, oh yes, that'd be quite cool. That's a nice idea, that. Yeah, so it's like a little Filofax or something. It's put some other little graphics in it. Yeah, so I've never done like an objectives list. I'm not particularly a big fan of them in point and click games, but I think it works with the character here that he'd kind of have a little list of things he needed to do, and it keeps players on track. There's going to be a lot of things to click on. I haven't done all of the hotspots in this room, but I know a lot of people like people who like traditional point and click things, like click on them, seeing the dialogue and things like that, and hopefully if the dialogue's good, funny, people will do that. So just keeping them on track with a list, I think. Yeah, they are, and it's something that's come a bit more recently, Kyle, that kind of list of objectives. And cynical old me is because younger people don't have the attention span to remember it, but like hint systems and things like that were all kind of like new. There's like a lot of games have like a key you can press. I think they did it in the remakes of the Monkey Island games, actually, that then like highlights all of the hot spots in the room and things like that. And I can see why you get frustrated if you're stuck on a puzzle, but I kind of think if the narrative's good enough and you know what you're meant to be doing, then you shouldn't really get that stuck. But maybe that's me. But that should come out in testing, really, get enough people to play test it. Then yeah, find out whether it does need a hint system or something. But yeah, I'm going to try and set up the objectives thing, not tonight, but I need to kind of understand how it works properly first, because you can add objectives to the list as you find them. I think you can tick them off. I ideally want it that it's going to give you objectives, because then you kind of know they need done. So Clive's going to read the email from head office and say, oh, I'm going to have to sort that door out, because he'll know about the door, because the delivery came and the door screeched. The dripping aircon, he's going to see that on the way out and go, that's another thing I'm going to have to fix. So he's going to start with 2, the carpet, because it's right next to him. I'm going to have to sort that carpet out. And I need to get that screeching front door sorted. And then when the player walks out to the screeching front door, what I've set up is a, are we in, no, we're in Act 1 here. Let's just move over to Act 2. Act 2. What I've set up here is, where is it, in Logic, Triggers, Aircon trigger, turn it back on. So I've got a trigger across the walkable area here. So when you come out of the door, after, basically the player's got the task in their head. Oh, I'm starting at the wrong side because I was testing something. He would start at the other side of the room and he will cross this invisible trigger. So if I just click over there, and he's like, great, that's another thing I'll have to fix before this visit. So you'd be coming the other way. So it highlights the user, the player, that they need to fix that as well. So they'd be on their way to the door to go like, oh, I need to go and fix that door. Yeah, so that's kind of set up. So I need to start thinking about this ripped floor. I've banged on for nearly an hour there without actually doing any work, but hopefully all that was interesting. Like, these live streams are less about me actually getting on with the work and more about showing what I've been doing. Hopefully they're still entertaining. What I need to do then is get into the office, get to the point, set up all my test variables, so we're at the point where Act 2 starts, and then set about getting these plants drawn, getting some carpet tears drawn for each of the places, and then getting some of that swap out stuff done. So I'll probably start maybe with the getting the plants drawn. I might just do placeholder stuff now so that it's just done a bit quicker. So this, actually I maybe don't need to get rid of that foreground item. Let's just create a new layer in there and call it plant. I'm going to do it in the floor for you blue, so that they kind of look like on brand. Of course, the lighting would be affected, wouldn't it? I don't think I'm going to worry about that too much at the moment. I haven't really fully thought through how I'm going to set this up, but stick some light down the front edge of that. What's the perspective like from here? I'm going to move this away from the light, I think. Just thinking about his slingshot shots done from there as well. Don't want to end up blocking the visual there. I just need it somewhere you can see a tear in the carpet. Maybe we'll put it here instead. That's, yeah, we'll move these bits here that are on the foreground layer. God, this is complicated. What to do here? It's all this rubbish. Right, I'm going to use auto select layer and just click it, see what it selects. Vignette. Right. I just cut that out so we can see the plant. just move it to another location and add some visual interest down here. Put it there. Put it there. Something like that. Don't know whether to show. No, let's just have the plant coming out of it. Just quickly draw something for now. I say that quickly draw, but I know what I'm like. I'll be like, oh no, let's just put a little bit of shading on there and so these are going to be fake plastic plants. So that we've got another observation from Clive about not having to water them. I might tidy that up later because it's a bit thick down there. Actually, let's just have them come in as separate. Fine for now, I think. Do we put a little FF logo on it? Maybe. That's fine for now, I think. He says, as he does just one extra little leaf on there. That'll do. So I might just use the same plant for each one, but I think when I tidy them up a little bit, I might have a couple of different things there. So because the carpet tears, they don't really part the background, so I can hide them depending on which one you pick up in which order. I need to have a think about that as well. It looks a bit out of place there, doesn't it? It just feels like it's a bit like alone in that position. I'm wondering where else it could go. It needs to be somewhere where I can do them like bend down, pick it up, and then you can clearly see the tear. It makes it a bit thin coming through there, doesn't it, as well? Just not happy about what it looks like sat there. It's kind of floating a little bit. Let's stick a little shadow under it just to ground it. So I'm going to do that in the same. I'm going to do it as an actual. Yeah, I don't want it too near the puddle. If it's inside the glass table, it looks a bit weird. You wouldn't really have it right next to the counter. I mean, it can slide behind the counter and the chair will block it. Let's just put it there for now. I think that's fine. We can decide once we get it into Unity exactly where it sits. So we want to get that plant out as an object. So export that as shop floor room plant. I'll call it plant 1 because there's going to be a few. And we just want to do selected frame, selected layer. So I just want the plant out, whole canvas. I've never done selection. I don't think I trust it. I think you actually have to have it selected. I'll just do the whole canvas. It's fine. Frames, just selected frame. Yeah. Okay. Export that. Ooh, that did something weird. Let's just bring that into Unity. Let's get that in the scene, and we need to update the thingy as well, don't we? The foreground. So turn everything off, turn the foreground on, because we've moved those little rolls there, so we've got a bit more room. So file, export as. Shop floor foreground. Yes. Visible layers. Canvas. So that's correct. We'll know pretty quickly. Yeah, so it's disappeared from there. It's moved over there. Lovely. So let's bring the plant in. Actually, before we do, let's get the carpet tear sorted as well. So turn all of them back on. So I think if we've got it sat there, when you pick it up, just put a new layer underneath, call it tear. Just going to fade that back a sec, so I'm just make sure I don't draw the tear any bigger than would be visible. No, between there and there, no bigger than that, and not below that. Colours from there, I think. It's just a frayed bit of the carpet. will do, I think. It's a little tear in it. So I want to export that as well. Just turn everything off. It's sometimes easier and just export visible. File, export as visible layers, selected frames, whole canvas. File, shop. Because we're going to need to do another one in the office. Oh, I'd called it a stain originally. A stain, tear, doesn't matter. I've just put a tear because it's part of the gag. So I possibly want to... Thanks very much, Carl. Cheers. Yeah, have a good week. Oh, I won't be here next Sunday. That is a good point. Yes, I'm away. I'm off snowboarding again. So yeah, thanks very much for tuning in, Kyle. Have a great week. But yeah, I will be, oh God, I'll be away for 2 Sundays. I fly out next Saturday and come back the following Saturday, but I'll be over in Cumbria coming back from Manchester Airport. So yeah, I think there's actually going to be 2 weeks without streams, 2 Sundays. So yeah, I will... it's good that I've got quite a lot done this week, actually, coming to think of it. So yeah, I'll catch up with you in a couple of weeks' time. Cheers, Carl. Have a nice week. Right, let's get another... We're going to have another plant in here. Probably here. That's got another tear under it. So I'm going to just copy that stain. I'll just call it tear. I might make it a little bit darker. Might move that box a bit as well. So let's have a look at that box. It's part of that, isn't it? Lovely. I like it when it's something I can just move like that. So that let's get in there and just make it a bit different to the other one. Delete some of the wider stuff so that the plant can sit in front of it. Let's bring the plant over from the shop floor. So let's copy, cell there, go over to the office, create a new layer above it, paste it into there. It's going to have to be a bit lower. Yeah. Plant. And I think as well, it might be a bit dark, that shadow for this room. Oh no, well, they're about the same. Leave it as it is. So there's a tear under there. And we moved the box, didn't we? So is the box on a separate layer in here? I don't think it is. Office. Set geometry. Foreground. It's one of the ones where I've... Oh, office box. Look at that. I've made it a separate item as if I was going to do something with it and then didn't do anything with it. Let's just... It's not got any hot spots. Let's just hide it. So it is baked into the foreground layer. Let's just check what that foreground layer is called. Office foreground. Yeah, right. Let's replace that. So let's do that first. Hide everything, show the foreground. Does that look right? Yeah, got door frames in. Looks good. File, export as my sprites, office foreground, canvas, export. Yes. Yeah, box just saw it leap a little bit there. So let's have the other stuff back on. I'm not going to export the plant again. I'm just going to use the same graphic for the plant at the moment. It might actually help, like the humour that they could just stock plants that are in all the shops. But we need to get the tear out as a separate thing. So turn everything off. Turn just the tear on. Oh, it's in a group, isn't it? Let's move that out of the group then. It's in a backdrop group. Whoa. Up there. Plant can go with it. Those two items separate from the backdrop. Yeah, I must have tidied this scene up and put everything in. So it's that tear that we want. Turn everything off. That tear there. File, export as. Going into the office. Let's call it tear underscore office. Export. And then I was going to put one in the storeroom as well. And go over there. So let's have the plant. Let's just see we've got this sorted out. It's a foreground. And all these other bits. I didn't clean this one up, did I? That one's all over the shop. Let's just create a new layer there. Oh, this is going to be one of the ones that cause a problem. See, that lamp light goes across the whole scene, but I bet you this is before I started being clever. Let's go to the storeroom. Turn the lights off so I can see what's going on. Oh, it doesn't look like I even imported it. Let's have a look at that. I think that's because I ended up deciding to do the lights in Unity. This was around about the time I was making that decision about whether to stay retro. Turn the lights on. Yeah, so I didn't use the pixel drawn light. Good. That saved me a problem because this lamp light, that there, would have been a problem. I'm just going to delete it actually. I'm not using it because it would have needed to be on a separate layer if this plant's in the way and everything else. So that's good. Let's call that plant. Let's grab the plant from the office. Plant. Copy that cell. Go to the storeroom. Paste it into here. There he is. Pop him back there somewhere. Looks good there, I think, actually. So underneath that, get a tear in the carpet. Actually, let's just go to the office and get that tear. Copy that one. Go to the storeroom. Paste it onto that layer. Quite a bit bigger than the plant, isn't it? It's all right. Let's call it tear. Clean up some of that. So make that look a bit more. It's the plant. Let's do that. Look, it's scraped along. Just tone the colours back a bit because it's a bit too yellow for this room, innit? Adjustments, hue and saturation. Feels like I'm so used to Photoshop. Oh, I just sometimes it completely confuses me what's going on with their sprites. Things, they all look a bit too dark, don't they? Let's just tone them back a bit. I mean, it's a collection of 20 pixels. It's make it all a bit darker. I'll do. Okay, that's the tear. That's the plant. Covers all of it. Plant needs to be a bit darker in this room, to be honest, but we can probably do that in Unity. Yeah, we can. We can just change the sprite renderer's brightness or default colour. Oh, I've got to stick back. Sat in this chair too long, that's what it is. No, it wasn't actually. It was sat on Saturday night on the sofa with my brother playing games. A game called Rounds, which is brilliant if you've got a sibling that you want to beat and get annoyed with. Dead simple 2-player game. Little circles with guns, and every round you get to pick a bonus if you're the loser to upgrade your weapons or your shields and things like that, and it's hilarious and it's really good fun. There you go, another recommendation. Rounds, do that. Right, let's get that exported. So file, excellent. Just turn them all off. It's easier to do that. File, export as, visible layers, all frames, canvas. This is going into my sprites, rooms. We're in the office, aren't we? Office, underscore office. Save. No, I'm not in the office. Nearly. It's like, huh? We're in the storeroom. Underscore storeroom. Save that. Export. Right. So let's import all of them. Get them all lined up. Turn the lights off just while I'm working. We'll have to change that walkable area as well once it's in. So let's go storeroom first. There in the storeroom. Let's just use my import setting for a single piece of art. Apply that. Drag it onto the set geometry thing. Reset its transform, and it should be in exactly the position that it was in our art, which is why I export the whole canvas, because then it's always in exactly the same spot, because I've basically exported that whole canvas, which yes, does make the thing bigger, but it means you can line it all up perfectly without nudging it around in Unity. So that's the tear. We're going to want one of those plants in as well. And I did the plant in the shop floor room, didn't I? So we need to go and get it from there. Plant 1. Oh yeah, well, as I've just said it, and like, oh god, I've exported the plant separately in different rooms, haven't I? No, I haven't. I've got it as one. What I'm going to do is I am going to export it from each room separately. And it'll also mean if I want, I can just adjust the colour of that slightly as well. Adjustments, hue, saturation, slightly less saturated, slightly darker. Okay, let's export the plant. File, export as plant storeroom. Yeah, I mean, you can alter, Chris, you can alter the, you probably know this anyway, but any of the sprite renderers you use, they've got a default colour. So that little tear there, the default colour is always white, but you can just like tint it by changing that, the default background colour of the sprite that you're loading on. So that's really handy for changing stuff. And of course, you can do that in real time during the game. So you could actually hook up an adventure creator action to change the tint over a period of time, fade it or whatever, make something go red. Right? All those things are easy enough to set up. Just a bit more time. Did I export that? Did I export that? I've forgotten. Let's find out. Storeroom. Plant storeroom, I did. Yeah. Single art preset, apply. Grab that, drop it on. Reset its transform. There it is, sat perfectly over the other thing. And one thing we want to watch out for here is the ordering layer. They're both set to 0, so they might fight. So we definitely want to push the tear right the way back, but it can't be lower than -20 because the background's -20. So let's put it at -19. And then Clive runs at 0, I think. No, Clive runs at 10. Can't remember now. But this one, we just want to make sure it's in front of the other, so just put it -18. I think Clive's going to walk in front of it anyway. Not going to have him walk behind it. We just want to change the navigation path. Nav mesh. Walkable full, walkable light. Yeah, it's because you can't walk in to begin with, but when you turn the light on, you can then walk right the way back here. So that's the one we want to edit. So just checking that. Let's pull that back to there. Still needs to be able to go up to that box. Yep. Okay. Yeah, because you can walk over this one. We're going to have lots of boxes you can do stuff with there. There should be an elastic band there, which I've noticed on the artwork is there. But for some reason, I don't think I've exported it. That elastic band is used, in fact, in the slingshot that you've seen earlier on. So that will need to come out as well. Not sure why I haven't exported that. Elastic band. Just check that I haven't and just haven't imported it. Storeroom. No. Let's get that out while I remember. Hide everything. Show that. File. Export as elastic and that's not how you spell elastic. Elasticy. Right. Getting stuff done. Elastic band. Import that as a single preset. And plant storeroom. Did I do that one? Yeah, I did. No. So we've got the plant. Let's drag the elastic band in while we're here. Reset its transform. And just make sure something like that. Right. Sort out hotspots and stuff for that later on. Right, let's get the other plants and the other tears into the other rooms. So let's go back to the office. That's updated now, hasn't it? We want to bring in the tears into the office. So office, tear, office. Apply that. Drag it in. Drop it onto there. Set to -19. Reset its transform. Wash. There it is. Come back to air sprite. We want the plant for this room as well. Coloration looks fine for that, so let's just get it out of here. Plant. Turn them all off. Just show that. Export. It kind of helps me as I talk through it as well to remember what I'm clicking. Sound like a madman. Office. Plant underscore office. And it means as well, if I get time, I can come and adjust them slightly so they all look slightly different, which probably I'm going to want to do at some point. Plant. That. And drag it onto the geometry. Reset the transform and make sure it's in front of the tear, so -18. Right. So I'm just going to run that scene, have a little look. It's quite nicely there. Haven't got any weird things. Oh, we have got weird things. Lovely. So one or two things. Clive's on a funny layer, or the anchor point of this is at the top instead of the bottom. And it's probably going to be the same in the storeroom as well. Turn the lights off of that without showing them. Yeah, he's in front of that one all the time anyway, so that's not too much of a problem. But his hand does go kind of... So what we need to do then is we need to change the anchor point. And it's because the anchor point's right up there. It's using that to work out whether Clive's in front of or behind it. So we need to move that anchor point down to the bottom of the sprite. So that he can never be above it. So we'll put that like that. Click apply. Should sort that out. Just test it. No. You then can't use the exact position. So I am going to have to, after all of that, I'm going to have to line it up anyway. It's fine. Doesn't have to be exact anyway with something like that. But now his feet shouldn't be able to go the other side of it. And if I've got, just accidentally clicked on the tear there and examined it. Oh, just as you said it, Chris, and set to pivot. Thank you. I'm glad you're there. Sprite sort point, pivot. Thank you, Chris. Let's just test that again. Were you waiting? Were you waiting going, he's forgotten to do it, he's forgotten to do it again? I remember exactly the same thing on another live stream. Oh. He's still the wrong side of it. Why is that? Sprite sort points, pivot. actually, the plant wants to be in front of Clive anyway, but it wants to be behind the foreground. I think that's what it is. I'm pushing it so far back. Let's just remind ourselves, like I haven't a million times before. Let's work out where Clive gets rendered. So Clive. So he goes on 0. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to stop him from walking in front of it anyway. There's no point having walkable down here. So I need to change the walkable area. That's just the easiest fix to that issue. So nav mesh, walkable. Edit. Oops. In front of it. Okay. Should be sorted. Yeah, and then when he interacts with it, he's going to do a bend and a pickup facing forwards. Storeroom one, that was fine on it. And then the shop floor one we still haven't put in yet. Needs to go down there, so let's do shop floor. Save the office. Open, and we're in Act 2 of shop floor when this... I'll have to add it to Act 1 as well, otherwise there'll be a continuity issue. So add them both to here first. Shop floor. Tear. Plant. Both want to be set to singular. Preset. Oh, this has got a weird offset, this one, because it hasn't, because it's really wide. Not that it matters, because I need to move the thing anyway. Doing that, apply. Edit sort point. Down there. Do the same with the tear. Drag that in. Actually, he's not going to move it anyway, aren't I? Because of the offset on this one. Right, that's done. Play this one. It's 20 to 10. I haven't actually set up any of the actions for this. Oh, and I've also still got this trigger, haven't I? I'm going to trigger it when he walks over it. Yeah. Yeah, so we just want to move the walkable area again so we can't walk that far down. Just fix that. Nav mesh, walkable. I had him walking all the way down there anyway. I think it was just to show off my glass table, to be honest. It's fine. So save that and then get the plant and that. Copy those two layers. Save this room. Open scene 1. Open that and paste them into there. So they're in exactly the same spot there. So they're not going to have any interactions in that scene. Oh, I need to move the nav mesh as well on that scene. Nav mesh, walkable, edit. I've just spotted there. What is that? It's a marker that's used for something. Let's just move it back into the walkable area. Save that. Just check that in the other one. I don't want to have caused a... No, I must have been doing something. It must have been a test or something. Right, that's in the same place in both scenes, so that's good. No continuity issues. And the only scene where it needs some... I mean, there'll be a hotspot to look at it, but you're not going to pick it up until Act 2. So we're going to have to set up a couple of different things. I'm going to use this off-screen method to move them. And I'm going to have a little bit of a think about the logic, but ultimately we're going to count up how many plants he's looked at or tried to pick up. And whilst that count is 0 or 1, it will show the tear underneath. And as soon as that count becomes 2, it's 0 based, 0, 1, 2. As soon as it becomes 1, so he's looked at 2 of them, the third one that he picks up, that one won't show the tear underneath. And then he will keep that plant in his inventory. So then he can go and cover the hole with the plant in the office. So it doesn't matter whether you pick up this one, the one in the office, or the one in the storeroom, only the third iteration will be the correct one. So yeah, we're going to have a bit of logic to set up a bit of a variable, like a global variable. I think we'll do it that way, will we? Maybe not. We might do it with the global event editor actually, because we're going to want to. I don't know if when I've created global variables that are like integers, I'm not sure if let's just call it plants tried. Plants tried, Jesus. Plants tried. I think you can just do increment a variable as an action. We'll have to see. So on this plant, I'm going to add a hotspot. We're going to add a polygon collider. I'm just going to tighten that up a bit. There's quite a few other things in the scene there as well that are near to it. Right, that'll do. So we've got a polygon collider for it. Other things we're going to need. Oh, is trigger. Always set is trigger if you've made your own. Call it fake plant. We're going to need a walk to marker. I'm going to need to move that walk to marker. So he's just back within the walkable area. Rotate it so he's facing the plant when he goes to it. If we do a use interaction on it, we're going to walk to the marker, this after moving, and then let's use plant one. We're going to do a check first of all to see if, I think which part of Act 2. Oh no, so when Act 2's begun, he's already knows about that hole in the carpet. Yeah, it's going to be one of the things he's going to have to say straight away. I need to make a note of this actually because I'll forget this. So in Act 2, this hide torn carpet, I just need to make a little note here. So carpet is spotted immediately after reading the email, in case player hasn't already seen it. We can do a little variable check as to whether they have or not. And we're going to have to as well starts the plant puzzle. Need a global var or event to update plants tried each time. Only the third plant doesn't under it. Right, so this is more notes for me when I come back. I'm just thinking, because I'm not going to be here for a couple of weeks, there are really important bits for me to come back. Because I think I mentioned on another screen, I could not for the life of me work out why I had this bit of this puzzle where you had to hide the carpet, fix the squealing door, fix the leaking aircon. And then I had this other bit which said about then the delivery driver appearing. And I was like, well, how are they going to know the door's squeaky? And it's up here because the delivery driver now gets triggered in Act 1 on purpose so that you get knowledge of the squeaky door in Act 1. So in Act 2, it's obvious that's one of the things that you've got to then fix. So yeah, I've written those notes to remind myself. So here we can just check that we're actually in Act 2. No, you would be in Act 2 anyway, wouldn't you? So it wouldn't matter because you're in this room. So we don't really need to do a check, but we're going to end up having a puzzle, which is how many of the plants. Let's just check plants tried when you use it. Let's see if you can do a variable. Assign. No, it's presets. Set. Plants tried. Entity method increase by 1. Yeah, so you can increase it by 1. But we're going to have to make sure that we don't let people use it twice. So it's going to need its own variable, otherwise you'll be able to increment the variable multiple times on the one plant, which we don't want. So this plant itself, we're only going to let that run through once. Sounds like it's dog walkies time, barking in the background. So yeah, there's going to be a few things to sort out there to make sure that it doesn't get multiple triggers. So let's go and just set up the other hotspots for these. We've got, they are going to have, he's going to have some dialogue each time, which is ultimately And this is going to be different depending on how many other plants he's tried. So it's going to be quite complicated, this. So that would cover that nasty tear in the carpet perfectly. But that would be something that's weird to say if you've already tried one plant. So there's going to be another one of them, which is let's try this one. Hopefully it's not hiding another tear, because that would be, if you've already done one, you'd end up with that one. So we're going to have to do some checking of that plants tried. Yeah, I don't know. When you've got a global, which is an integer, because it's not something you can switch. So check a global, plants tried, compare with entered value. Yeah, so you end up having to do like strings of these. Like if it equals 0, then it's the first time that you've looked at it. So it gets a bit like convoluted. But if it's not 0, then you've got to check if it's 1. It seems quite, I wish there was like a switch statement that wasn't just for pop-up variables. So you could just have a global and then just like all the possible values of that global in one action. Because what I'm going to have to do here is do 2 checks here. So if it is 0, and then he says that would cover that nasty carpet tear perfectly because he's not tried it before. You'd then want to increase that by 1. So we're now on 1. If it isn't 0, then we're going to check. If it's 1, actually, if we're only doing 0, it starts on 0, and that's the first plant. And then it becomes 1. So next time you check, shall I just use a pop-up switch instead? Yeah, I think I'm going to just use a pop-up switch and move it along rather than messing about with integers and checking them all. Let's do that. Let's do that. So plants tried, let's just kill it. Oh no, we don't have to, we can just change it to a pop-up. And add some values. So value 0 is 1 checked. So non-checked, sorry. Non-checked, so it starts as non-checked. 1 checked. 2 checked. I'm going to do this. Non. Yeah, I'm still going to end up with some weird logic going on here. 1 checked, 2 checked. Because once you've got 2 checked, you'll get it's quite late, my brain's not working. Once you've checked 2 of them, that next one is always going to be the correct one. Yeah, that's correct, isn't it? Is it any easier? What would it actually look like? Let's try this out. So it'd be a pop-up switch. So variable, whoops, variable, pop-up switch, plants tried. Still going to have to be changing it. which is the easier way of doing it. I think. Oh, thanks for the follow, Faithan222. Much appreciated. I don't get many people coming in through Twitch. It's mostly through YouTube, so really appreciate that. Thank you. I'm thinking I might think about this problem. I'm not as tired. I might. I just want to make sure I don't back myself into a corner, end up having to do loads of like switch if statements, because it starts at 0, so that's the first one you try, and then it becomes 1, and then it's going to have to become 2, and I end up with a stack of these each time. So I think it is better to just use the pop-up switch, but then just manually change them. So this pop-up switch is basically going to have to, and I could put this, I'd take my own advice from my YouTube tutorial and have a global event. And basically when you pick up one of these plants, it just increments the global variable, and then have a global event that does something anytime it gets updated. Yeah, let's do that. Do I do that? That's too many choices. So the global events editor, which my last tutorial was about, what we can do is we can create a new event here. Oh no, you don't do that. You have to select the type first. So you can do it on variable, change a global variable. So I can basically say if I change plants tried at any point in the game, then it runs an action. So I could just increment the value every time you open or try and pick up a plant, and then have this do the pop-up switch and do all the dialogue in one place. That'd be clever, wouldn't it? That's the kind of thing I'll forget. So let's call that plant counter. That is just my label for it, so I remember it. We're going to create this event on variable change. I'm going to call it plant counter in there. We're going to put plant. Right. I shouldn't have done that. What I should have done is create a variable which is the integer called plants tried. I'm going to have to give it a different name for now. Number the indecisiveness of a tired mind. This one I'm going to rename it to my usual thing, like puzzle. So I usually have puzzle. This is when I'm using pop-up switches. So puzzle plants. So you can see that's changed there now because I've just changed the name of the variable. It just updated there a second ago. And this is going to be plants tried, which is the number of plants tried. Number of plants tried. That is going to be an integer. We're going to update that. When that gets updated is when we're going to trigger this other one. So plants tried, whenever plants tried gets updated, we're then going to run this and do our pop-up switch change. So variable, oh, sliding off the screen a bit there. Pop-up switch. Sorry, we're going to look at the variable, the global variable. I think I'm going around in circles here, but check number of plants tried. It just means I've only got to do this once. It hasn't got to then sit within all of the different plant attempts. So I'm just trying to get it all in one place. The complexity is then not spread across every plant, and then when I get a bug, I've got like 4 different plants to sort out. So we'll do this. We'll do the if-else bit here, and then just change this pop-up switch here, and then we can check this at the start of each of the plant things. So if it's 0, then we're gonna set a new action variable set puzzle plants set value to non-checked. So if when it's updated, I mean, it won't get updated to 0, will it? It'll be the first time this gets triggered. It'll be 1 because it starts at 0, and this starts at not started. So that's not going to be an issue, I don't think. So if it's 1, we're going to set that to one of them is checked. And if the other one, do you know what? I think I'm just going round in total circles here because I don't know how much quicker it's going to be to just check the... This is always the problem when you try and think of a quicker way of doing something rather than just cracking on and doing it the long way around. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because I've just realised it's 10 o'clock as well. I'm going to come to the logic of this, and I'm going to do it with a clean head on a different day. What I'm going to do is just get the other plants hotspots set up, and then I can come back to the logic of it, of the pickup and the check with a clean head. That is sensible advice from me, that, because I'm just going to go around in circles doing 2 things, which is ultimately just checking. It sounds like a plan. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, it's always the same with me. If it's an integer-based value that starts at 0 and you're checking it and updating it, I hate having to go, if it's 0, then do this. If it's not, then do this. If it's 1, then do this. If it's not, then do this. If it's 2, then do this. And it's like, oh, there's a simpler way of doing it, which is with a pop-up variable and just being more awake when I set it up. So we've got them in anyway. Let's get them in. Let's get the one in. Oh, no, the other thing I need to do, yeah, and this is important, is the tear. That is going to have a remember visibility on it, or remember transform, so we can throw it off screen. So it ultimately is displayed for the first 2 checks, and then it isn't after that. So we want to put on the tear, we'll put a remember transform. We can either do it remember transform and shove it off screen, or we can do a visible and hide it. But if I let's do visible, remember visibility. So it's on. Usually we're going to turn it off for the 1 in 3 where it's not shown. So it's on to begin with. Save that. So we need to set up the others the same in the other rooms, and then I'm going to call it night, I think. So let's go into the office. Let's get to the plant. Let's add the hotspot. Let's have a walk to marker. Position that inside the walkable area. Make it face the plant because we're going to have him crouch to pick it up. I'm going to set him back a little bit further actually so we can see the tear and his feet aren't in the way. We're going to add a polygon collider to it. Get that sorted out. His trigger. Oops. Just bring that in a bit because there's a lot going on in this scene that can clash with it. Pull into there. That'll do for that. We've got the tear on this one. And you're not going to be looking at the tear. There's no hot spots needed or anything. Clive's going to notice it and go, oh, there's a tear under this one. Like how many different tears in the carpet are covered by plants. So we're not going to need a hot spot on the tears. We're just going to need to not display some of them if it's the final plant that they check. So this needs, remember, visibility on it. It's going to be on by default. The plant actually needs a remember visibility because I'm going to turn the plant off, put it in his inventory, then turn it back on again when he realises there's a tear underneath it. So these are going to have remember visibility on them as well. Save that. Before I forget, let's just go back to the shop floor act 2 and add that to the plant because I will forget to put visibility on that. Okay. Oops. The storeroom. There we are. Same thing with this one. Plant. Visibility. Dump a hotspot on it. Create a walk to marker. Move that into position. This one is going to bend to his left. So we'll have him facing left when he crouches to pick it up. Back a bit. So I've got the hotspot. We want to put in the polygon collider for it. Make sure it's a trigger. Edit that back so it's not clashing with any other items we're going to interact with. The box gets interacted with later as well. So I just need to keep it out of the way of that. So it's all fine. Put a use interaction on them all as well. So it wants to walk to the marker and face after moving. Create that ready. Save that. Should have done that on the other two as well, really. We did the plant in there, didn't we? Did that one. It's got, yeah, the use walk to marker, so it's just the office. Plant in the office. Use interaction for that. Create it. Walk to marker. It's after moving. Right. So let's just check those 3 plants out and then we'll have to call that a night, I think. Overrunning a bit. So I can, it's got plant underscore office, it hasn't got a label. Yeah, so he's stood in the right place, he's looking at it ready. Let's go in the storeroom. Oh, I forgot to turn the lights back on. Yeah, so he faces it. All looks fine. Actually, I'm going to have to come back and have a look at something there because the lights stop you from interacting with certain things. So this fake plant, yeah, stood in the right place for that. So the 3 plants are all sorted, but the storeroom has a slight complexity to it in that these lights that are on, the hotspot needs to be told not to show on one of the cameras so that you can't highlight it in the dark. So if I come down to the plant, it should be limited to a camera. So camera lights on, which means that it can't be seen when the lights are off. So need to remember to do that with that one. And we also want to give it a label as fake plant. Oops. So it's not called underscore plant. And then just pop back into the office. Oh, whoops, misclicked. Back into the office. And give that one a proper name as well. Because I'll forget. Plant. Right, they should all be sorted now then. I think that's going to be it. Yep, fake plant. It's in the right position. Storeroom. You can't select it while it's dark. Doesn't let you walk to it. Turn the lights on. Now it appears and you can walk to it. Lovely. It's going to have to come down a bit there. He's a bit higher than it, I think, but fine for the time being. Elastic band's loaded in now. And then just check the last one. It's all fine, the last one, wasn't it? There we go. Yeah. Thank you, Chris. It's been a bit of a meandering one, this. I mean, I hope everyone enjoyed the first bit, at least, with yeah, going through the stuff that I'd done last time off stream. So the new introduction and things like that that have been done. So I started off with a little bit of that. The animation of the slingshot for that puzzle. Some of the bits and pieces that I showed at the start of the stream, hopefully, were interesting. Didn't get anywhere near as much as I wanted to get done of that plant puzzle, but at least I've set up the component parts, and with a clear head, I can have a think about the logic behind checking you've looked under 2 plants before you then are allowed to keep one in your inventory. But yeah, I'll work that out on another day when not stayed. Thanks as always for tuning in. Really appreciate Pathan222 on Twitch, because this does go out on Twitch and then out onto YouTube like a second later or something like that. Most of my followers are on YouTube, and yeah, really appreciate everyone following on any channels that they're on. But please leave a comment if you can. If you haven't already, then subscribe on YouTube in particular. But yeah, great to have people along as always. Really glad that people spend their time coming along and getting involved. And the regulars, Chris and Kyle, always keep me right with setting a pivot point correctly and things like that. So cheers, everyone. I'm going to be taking 2 Sundays off because I'm away for a week. So I'm not going to be back here. I'm going to be away by next Sunday and then not back by the following Sunday. So I won't get much done on it, but I've managed to have a week of doing quite a lot of stuff. So I managed to get quite a few bits done. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you in a couple of weeks' time. See you later. Bye.